no point in the game before this with this card have been in any way useful, but now all it needs is the right card to unlock. Every Yu-Gi-Oh card can be made playable with the right support.
I think we're going to see it straight away. Utilizing Primite Roar, pay 2,000 life points, special summon a normal monster from your deck. This is either going to be Psyframe Driver or Dippity. Now, I'd be amazed if it's not Dippity. And we're going to go get responded with a Fluveros. Double Fluveros.
Double Fluveros. You don't actually have to summon with the Roar, so I'm wondering if you
can
just
add.
don't. Yeah. You declare a card name, and then
you can special summon.
So maybe you just like
choose
don't.
Not to.
Yeah, I'm not giving my opponent 2 draws. Is he adding it to his hand?
No, you just declare for it not to be. Can't be destroyed by battle.
Oh, he is summoning it.
He wants to show off that Dippity. That's so important. Normal summon Primite Bell. So this is actually quite interesting. I agree with you. I don't think you summon it because this would lead you. The reason you summon it is to work through your Fiendsmith plays, unless we're about to see an Ash Blossom on the Lordy Load. Unless we're going to see a rank 4 play, but there's no rank 4s in the extra deck.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Yeah, you just go like Requiem Pass, and I think if your opponent had 1, maybe I'd be like, yeah, okay, but like 2.
Yeah. Unless you feel so confident that you can whittle your field down to have so few cards that the final clause on a Molchummy becomes what your opponent has +6, which I can very, very find that hard to believe that we're going to be getting to that situation.
Well, yeah, I mean, Kenny should now, I suppose he's used the Ash.
Yeah.
So
drawing for turn. It is just a Requiem Pass on this one.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because the board's going to be so small, like, it does seem a little odd.
Yeah. I wonder if there's Gammas or Deltas in the hand. Even then, I'm not sure how worthwhile it would be.
I think it's quite hard to organize your chain.
Oh, we also hard open up the Lacrima as well. Not an ideal start, but not the worst. I suppose we're going to be trying to hope that the Paradise is enough to really, really kind of hold Kenny back. But the amount of advantage that was drawn off of the back of this, off of both the Fluveroses in turn 1 is, I think we drew a total of, what, 2, 4,
yeah,
4 cards?
4 cards, yeah, so
Crazy.
2 for each. The opponent starting the game with, 2 Pot of Greeds. I know Primite Roar has a graveyard interruption, right?
Yeah, so you target the normal in your grave, but then you banish a monster on the field with less attack. So with Dippity being 0/0, the only benefit is they have sent Psyframe Driver. So you do have a 2500.
But doesn't it have to be on the normal summon?
Yeah, it has to be on the normal summon. So it would have needed to have been on the Ether Barrel.
So why do we think he didn't use it?
Well, unless he knows his opponent's on Blue Eyes, and you let the barrel resolve, and then you get rid of the additional, which would be Sage. But that does seem.
I mean, your opponent, yeah, you use it on the barrel, and then they don't get a second normal summon. Seems a little safer. Maybe you just got a bit too excited with all of the different chains going on. But I was wondering, maybe there's something I'm not sure about, because I haven't used this card a lot. I've seen it used all that much, so.
So we're going to be utilising the Blue Eyes Link Spirit, which is going to bring back Blue Eyes White Dragon. Tend to use Paradise. Usually this one will fall into the realms of sending a Desiree. Desiree being able to recycle a Fiend Light from the graveyard. And it looks like we're going to be putting Dippity back into the deck to deal with Mausoleum. So that's one way to make sure you don't get an additional normal summon, I guess. Unless there's already a Maiden in the hand. And ultimately that wouldn't make much of a difference. Maiden getting direct access to True Light. You probably don't need to go into wishes on this one, like a Roared with Eyes of Blue could do that for you. Bring back the Maiden, still open up the access to your Synchro plays. Also wonder, does he play the new Ancient Fairy Dragon of Life? I haven't seen that be...
Ancient Fairy Life Dragon?
Yeah, because I still quite like the idea that you'd make that and then you are able to tribute off in the battle phase your Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. He does. So what that gives you the ability for is you can attack with your Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, tribute off your Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon still in the battle phase to then get into your Ancient Fairy of Life. The monster that's summoned off the Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon has to go into defense, but the Ancient Fairy Dragon of Life lets you attack in defense position, which is exactly what we're going to see here.
Yeah, and that is enough
that will be
to
game,
attack
yeah.
the game because of that 2,000 life.
Yep, so I can only imagine Finley is going to want to go first on this one. We do see in Kenny's hand that he has hard drawn the True Light. It also looks like Kenny's seen that Ether Beryl straight away. Oh no, Lacrima straight away on this one. Looks like we're going to be resolving this. I didn't see double Fluveros in Kenny's hand, so that could be hopefully something that Finley doesn't want to see happen again.
Yep, just straight into the Requiem. I guess no Fuvoloses? Are you a Fuvolos like before the Requiem sort of person, or are you a Fuvolos
no, I think you
after?
wait for the Requiem to happen. I feel you want to guarantee that draw, at least that replacement.
Yeah, the only downside is if they have a Fiendsmith in hand, then they can play around it too.
Yeah, risk and reward, I guess.
The Primite Fiendsmith deck is so grindy. I feel like it's a matchup where like this kind of thing where you draw cards off of your Necrocrypt is actually super relevant.
Yeah.
It's one deck where you'd almost just like, I'm just gonna leave this on the field. I want to draw some cards. I'm here for it. You know, let's see what we can get our hands on. So let's see what Finley can draw. I mean, there is some possibility you could leave it on the field, right? Because instead of going into a Caesar, you could instead choose to get 2 lights with one with the tract and one with the engraver engrave, and then go into a sequence instead.
Yeah, definitely alternative options on this one. We're going to see like Lordy Load is going to be stopped with the Dominus Purge. Working our way in, and it looks like we're going to be going into the High Wave King Caesar. We still have the ability to use Lordy Load to summon another normal monster from the deck, but if you do that, you can't use Special Monsters effects on the field for the remainder of the turn. Hard Open Up the Branded Regain is not something you want to be seeing either, unfortunately.
It's kind of interesting, Brandon Regain. I had a pour over his deck list before, and you mentioned there was only 1 copy of Lubellion.
Yeah.
So it feels like Branded Regain, you know, I get it for like, you run 3 Lubellions, you're going to see it a lot. So the times you draw Branded Regained, it's kind of like, okay, whatever, it's still not too bad. But 1 for just a single copy feels a bit light.
Yeah. And it looks like we're paying the ultimate cost here of being ashed on our Wishes with Eyes of Blue, send in True Light. We do know that there is a Maiden hand. It also looks like there's a Sage of Eyes of Blue. So the Sage will kind of work a little bit of magic. I did also see a Balldrake in Finley's hand, so that can definitely deal with the Maiden. That could be another added benefit. And we're going to be adding an Effect Veiler off of the back of the effect of our Sage of Eyes of Blue as well.
So very good to have a Balldrake to pair with the Regain to start drawing some more cards. And as you said, the Ash has got to be quite painful on the Wishes. It's like, I feel like it's the Blue Eyes nightmare. It's like what you dream about after a bad tournament, your Wishes getting ashed.
I feel Finley is going to be quite, or he looks like he's going to be quite aggressive on this one, so try and quench any resource that Kenny may be getting. It looks like we've got Paradise here. I feel at the earliest possible opportunity we're going to be able to activate that. Currently Kenny is Dragon locked, or technically can't special summon anything apart from dragons. We do have Mausoleum to provide you with that additional normal summon, so you could see Mausoleum being activated, additional normal summon of Maiden to then use Maiden's effect. But it looks like we're going to be using that from the hand to reset the True Light. Activating the Mausoleum as well.
You've always got to keep your eyes open for the Dominance Purge too. So I'm sure Kenny will know. He probably doesn't have that many cards in his deck that would play into it, but sometimes you can like think about, oh, should I play around Bystials? Should I be worried about SP?
Yeah.
And forget that your opponent has used a Dominus card and that they cannot use, well, non-lights or, well, they can't use darks. I'm going to get the attributes wrong, aren't I? What is it you get?
It's dark, fire, and
water go together.
Water.
So the other ones left are earth and wind.
Correct.
So you can still use, you know,
Earth and wind.
And
I think this is going to be a very important Bestial. So we're going to attempt to use True Light. Do we allow, or it looks like we're allowing the Blue Eyes to come back to the field. So do we then stop the Maiden later on? Because we still have, okay, so we're going to use Paradise early on.
So nice here, you can always Paradise and target the True Light, which makes it one of those tricky things when you're pushing as the Blue Eyes player that you're, you know, you provide your opponent with any spell and trap removal they can use to destroy your entire field.
Yeah. So an additional normal summon of that Effect Veiler, and we're going to be working ourselves into another Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. I feel that at this point you have to interact. As soon as that Blue Eyes Link monster attempts to use this effect to revive a Blue Eyes, I can almost guarantee we're going to be seeing the Balldrake come here to get rid of that Blue Eyes. Oh, okay, we're not even going to reveal any Bystial at all. We're just going to rely on deck list to go into the main deck. So it looks like players are ready for that all-important final game 3. Starting off with Kenny, normal summoning down the Blue Eyes, Sage of Eyes of Blue. And there's a bit of a sneak peek in Finny's hand. It does look like he's opened up the Primite Raw already. And we are going to be seeing that side copy of the Mole Chummy.
And that looked like a thumbs up from Kenny. There's always that little hold your breath moment when you activate Full Loss. Is your opponent going to go, yeah, I'll just hash that, carry on my merry way, or will they just be under a lot of pressure, I think, when the Full Loss resolves? Because Blue Eyes, it doesn't summon tons from the extra deck, but it definitely wants to, and it's a heavy price to pay giving your opponent a card every time.
Yeah, I feel that Finny's been quite reserved on this one. He did get double Fluverosses in game 1, so he's kind of repaid the favour a little bit to Kenny on this. It looks like there's also an Ash Blossom in the hand. The temptation to stop that Prosperity resolving. Yeah, not even giving it a second thought. That is not going to resolve.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with Ash Blossom on Prosperity, given it's going to trade 1-for-1 with anything, and you don't really want your opponent to pick the card. And also post-side decking, things like, you know, you don't know what kind of nasty surprises your opponent can have for you in their side deck. Players can put in powerful cards like Different Dimension Ground or things like that that could be really tough when you go first.
Yeah, and taking a quick peek at the side deck, I think Solemn Warning could still be something very, very powerful for Finley to try and play across, which looks like the most restrictive one. There's also Mistaken Arrest, which, you know, it can kind of limit the Engraver's usage, and obviously Lubellion, but we've already seen that Finley only plays one of those. So I suppose it's going to come down to how far Kenny, or how many draws Kenny wants to give Finley off of the back of his necessity, I suppose, to access the extra deck.
One question for you, I'll give you, is what's your favourite Solemn at the moment?
Ooh, I'm very partial to Solemn Strike. Not right now, I don't think it's the best card right now. We've had to choose of the Scolding, Judgment, Warning, and Strike. I've always kind of felt that Strike was ideal. But then I do also quite like the fact that Judgment can be activated no matter how many life points you have left.
Yeah, one thing I'm thinking is, you know, I understand the trend towards Solemn Warning, which is Mitsurugi, very powerful deck. So having the option of also negating the Ritual spell, which Strike can't do, as well as any summon against Malice. It's very flexible. But in Blue Eyes in particular, I think something you're scared of, like really scared of, is those Feather Dusters and Lightning Storm. So yeah. I think if I was playing maybe another deck, I'd think, okay, I'll just side in Solemn Warnings. I quite like that. But if I'm playing Blue Eyes in particular, I probably really prefer to have the Solemn Judgment.
Yeah, I do find that quite interesting because there's also Dragon's Mind that we saw earlier on the Regenesis. And all it requires you is your opponent, for you to have a monster with 2500 attack or defense. So technically, Dragon Mind could be a good option for you in that replace of the Judgment. It kind of really comes down to how many times you feel you're going to need to recycle that resource.
Yeah, for sure. Here we see Magnamut, the most intimidating of the Bystials, mostly because it always comes with a friend. Kenny, I don't know if he's got any like prime targets in his grave because the Maiden and the Blue Eyes are both on the field, but you can still get a lot of value out of the Magnamut anyway. Yeah,
it does also look that he opened up the Dippity. So the biggest issue with opening up the Dippity is that Raw can't special summon it from the hand, it needs to special summon it from the deck. So maybe that Fluveros kind of let him draw a card that he probably didn't want to see. But being able to activate something like the Raw, like the Primite Raw, would have allowed him to get a little bit more field presence before, because you have to have no monsters in order to activate it. Which does mean that the Raw is a bit more of a stumbling block in the hand than you want it to be.
So here comes Magnamut, going to activate its effect.
Getting rid of the Sage. I feel this is probably... Oh, DD Crow. There we go. Talk about DD Crow. And it looks like we're going to be seeing Lubellion, so that Lubellion can't get rid of the Magnamut to bring itself back to the field.
I think that's... I'm going to give that a +1 for Bystials over DD Crow.
Traded Sage for Lubellion.
I think I would rather have my my Bystial than a DD Crow when I mean, your opponent's just played, you know, their one card Bystial Lubellion, and your DD Crow's gone like -3 or something versus it.
Yeah, exactly that. It looks like the Fiendsmith engine is going off unanswered here. I do believe we have a Majesty still along the spell and trap zone for Kenny on this one. How long do you hold out before you need to use it? I suppose once they revive the Engraver, you kind of utilize that.
I think Majesty was already used to destroy the Primite card.
Oh, is it Lordy Load?
Yes, the load.
Oh, okay. So we're going to try and turn into Neko Quip. This could be a repeat of what you mentioned earlier, trying to get more draw advantage off of the back of this. Looks like Kenny has a draw on Lot Bird. We know there's the Primite Roar. Another DD Crow. Wow, okay, DD Crow putting in a bit of work here.
This is interesting here. So Kenny having to use the DD Crow now, because otherwise the Princess would come down. And normally, obviously, you really want to hold the DD Crow.
Yep.
Until the Engraver's used its effect, and then you wouldn't be able to use it again, and there's one less Light Fiend in the grave. But if you were to wait, then you'd give your opponent a draw, which obviously much, much worse than either of those things. Yeah,
you don't want to... A draw can be anything. It could be something incredibly useful that turns the tide of the game, or it could not. Sometimes it's just not worth that risk and reward. It does unfortunately look like Finley has the Dippity, Draw on Lockbird, and the Primite Roar. A combination of cards you probably don't want to be seeing in the latter stages of your turn.
Yeah, you just summon a side frame driver. What are you doing?
I'm still waiting for someone to play the Lambda, the Link 2, that allows you to activate your side frames from the hand even when you have monsters on the field. Surprised that's not in a... Might have been a consideration for his side deck, or even in the extra deck. But
so
then the Fiendsmiths take up quite a lot of space.
Kenny resolving True Light. Always a good feeling to get to resolve that more than once. He's going to get to resolve it, presumably for a third time once it comes around to his turn again. Not sure one Bystial by itself is quite going to cut it, but we will see.
So what did we set off of the True Light? Is it Wishes?
Yeah, Wishes. Finley just having...
going to be a good starter.
Quick read of the Necro Quip. I feel like you kind of, most people, like, you know, like the main effect of the card, and then you need to check the actual text to be like, oh, what if they discard a card for Wishes or something like that?
Yeah, does that count? Okay, this is interesting. We're going to use Mausoleum to send the second Blue Eyes White Dragon, increasing the Blue Eyes White Dragon currently on the field by 800 attack. Might make a big difference. You never know. Those 800 points could be the difference between what's left and what's not.
Yeah, always good to get your Blue Eyes out of the deck and into the graveyard as quick as you can, so that way you might not draw them.
Now, was there no other... Was there an Effect Veiler still in the grave, or was that the previous game?
Well, I don't think Kenny's used an Effect Veiler.
No, is there no other level tuners? Did we get rid of all of the level 1 tuners?
Yeah, well, it was banished.
Banished off the Beastie was the Sage. Okay, so we're going to go into the Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. We're going to see a repeat of game number 1 with the Ancient Life Dragon. Roared with Eyes of Blue, bringing back a Blue Eyes White Dragon from the graveyard. In turn, bringing back the Maiden. Ah, that's correct. There's 2 DD Crows in the graveyard. That's why. That's going to get met with the Bull Drake. Now, this is also quite interesting as well, because with the Bull Drake online, because of the Neko Quip, we have the ability that if the Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon's effect is activated to summon the Ancient Fairy Dragon, we can utilize Bull Drake, but that's not going to be allowed to stay on the field. True Light to revive Blue Eyes to clear off the Neko Quip. Clear field here now for Finley. Again, unfortunately, the target that he wants to be summoned off of that Primite Roar is stuck in his hand.
Do you think he sided out the driver?
I think the driver was sided out, yeah. Otherwise, yeah, the driver would have been a very, very good option for that one.
We'll have access, I guess, to his Primite engine again next turn.
Yeah, next standby phase.
Negate it, although you can just negate it straight away with the Spirit Dragon.
Correct. Ah, maybe he does have Driver still in his deck. I'm just surprised why Raw wasn't used in the previous turn.
I don't know what... You can make a rank 6, but Driver is not a Fiend.
Correct.
So you'd have to make a rank 6 with...
But he does play Lars.
He does play Lars. Yeah, I think he should play Summon Skull, and then you could make a Caesar.
Oh, he does still have the Driver. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, maybe he just didn't want the rank 6. Maybe, does he just need... No, he already had another Primite card in his graveyard, right? So
he's got the Lordy Load in the grave, and he's got the one Beryl, I believe.
what is the condition for Beryl to come back?
Well, you just bring Beryl back during your standby phase.
Yeah, but do you not need like a normal monster somewhere or something like that?
Don't believe so.
I don't think it just comes back forever during your standby phase. I think you need something. A normal monster in your field or graveyard.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So that's why.
Oh, because the Deputy's locked in the hand. Okay. It's the Drill Beam that requires you to control a Primite card, I believe, to reset it.
Yeah. So Beryl, sadly, getting stuck in the graveyard by the Blue-Eyed Spirit Dragon.
Switching Driver to attack to attempt to attack the Hieratic Seals. Hieratic Seals is going to be returning that Driver directly to the hand. Oh, it looks like Finley drew a second draw on Lockbird for turn. That is not the hand you want to be seeing. A Dippity, 2 draw on Lockbirds, and a Cyframe Driver. Not ideal.
But here
he is on a second Requiem. Dippity into the second Requiem. We're going to try and unlock the Fiendsmith route.
Of course, there's still that one effect negation for Kenny in the form of the Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon, along with whatever other cards he's managed to assemble in the meantime.
Still 2 more sets as well to be aware of. And then anything else that Kenny may or may not have in the hand. I mean, Ash Blossom will pretty much end this, but as you mentioned already, oh, Typhon, okay. It's one of those set cards, a Drill Beam or a Majesty.
Finley just passing, it looks like. I mean, I guess you can just pass because the Spirit Dragon will be destroyed.
Yeah, but this is quite interesting because you can still return, exactly what we're about to see here, we still return the Blue Eyes, and the Blue Eyes will just destroy the Typhon.
Oh yeah, but the Blue Eyes came back off the True Light, didn't come
Correct,
back off
yeah.
the Spirit. But this is main phase 2, so I guess there's not much else to say about it. Yeah, so Typhon does actually prevent monsters with 3,000 or more attack from activating, and it doesn't matter where they are, so you can't like use Nibiru or anything like that. So the Spirit Dragon would normally at this point be activating to revive a monster, but you can't do that while Typhon is on the field.
So 6,000 life points to 8,000 life points. We do have the Blue Eyes to deal with the Typhon. Then the Ether Beryl to deal 1,600. True Light can still bring back.
Ether Barrel is...
Oh, 0/0 because it's with Hieratic Seals, correct.
You got to get it off the field, and then at some point you're going to get your value. It's
well,
going to come back
it looks
during
like
the next standby phase.
Doing exactly that. We're going to be banishing the Raw Divisor Blue to work our way into what I can only imagine will be the Tyrant Dragon, using Blue Eyes and another Dragon monster. Won't be able to use the effect of Tyrant right now, but still being able to True Light and bring back a Blue Eyes, in turn bringing back a Maiden should we wish. Could be quite useful here.
Both players just having a chat to clarify exactly the game state. Having a bit of a... It's quite a slow game. I feel like some games can be grindy and the decks are doing a lot. This time it feels like not too much is happening on either side, but hopefully Kenny's going to prove us wrong and summon a pile of a very large attack Blue Eyes White Dragons.
Yeah, very strategic. A lot of thinking about this one.
Are there any trap cards to bring back with Tyrant? I don't know if any have hit the graveyard yet.
Has he used Majesty yet? Or have we just been holding Majesty all this time? Because I think I would definitely agree with you. You would probably want to attack the Typhon with Blue Eyes first. Clear the Typhon off, and then your Tyrant will then be able to activate.
But I don't think there are any trap cards in the grave to bring back. so I don't think it matters.
Then they're just chalking through it now. Oh, there you go. There's the Majesty.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure you can't do that unless the Typhon's been negated.
But then, because it's once at the end of the damage step, so is the Typhon clear? And as long as your Tyrant has battled, with the Typhon off the field, your Tyrant then is able to resolve. Which I think is what they were just checking.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Sometimes cards can be a little confusing when they're like being attacked over.
How long their lingering effects stay in play for.
Yeah, but in my head, I think it shouldn't work, but hopefully our table judges know better than me. Just be safe. Just attack with the blue eyes first.
Well, don't even allow that complication to pop up. Being able to recycle the Majesty could be quite good here, one way or another, because the Majesty, we now have 2 blue eyes in rotation, one currently on the field, one currently in the graveyard. So that is going to provide with 2 forms of destruction off of the back of that. Still with the True Light in rotation, haven't even tempted to bring back Maiden. And then still 2 more unknowns along the spell and trap zones for Kenny here.
Did Maiden get banished, actually? By Bystial?
Oh, you're right, by Baldrake. Very correct.
Finley now, from a second ago, you know, didn't really have that many interruptions. It looked like Kenny was kind of poised to take over the game, but all of a sudden, the Fiendsmiths popping their heads up straight out of the graveyard.
Holding their own.
Yeah, you think they're buried, but no, they just reappear every turn. 2 more monsters onto the field.
Yeah, it's still quite impressive because when you look at, if you take the Finley's hand out of context and you do see those 4 cards sitting in hand, you'd be remiss to say that'd be game over at that particular point. But he is really battling hard on this one.
Here comes a Fiendsmith sequence. This feels like a card that really shouldn't be allowed to resolve. At any point, just ever. You know?
You must never resolve.
If you let someone resolve a sequence.
I would be, very surprised if that's allowed to resolve or even attempt to activate the effect where at all possible.
Yeah, the tricky part here is though, if you you can destroy the sequence, but because it's not activated its effect, Finley might be able to summon it again if he has the Engraver in his grave, which I'm not sure he's used yet, so you can just shuffle it straight back into the extra deck.
Correct.
If you have a way to get another monster on the field, which is easier said than done, I think. Oh, is that a pass? No, he's checking his grave, okay.
Is there a possible Bystial in the hand?
It's always good to look out for the, I forget the name of it, like the Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon.
Yes, the targeted protector.
Yeah, but there was also a Bystial, so.
So it looks like the Druid's Swan here. You've got to be very careful not to target the blue eyes, because otherwise you would assume Kenny would just chain the True Light to revive the blue eyes. Getting rid of the ultimate blue eyes Spirit Dragon. And here, as you mentioned, is the second monster needed to make the sequence. And as an added benefit, we can now utilize Druid Swarm to send the Tyrant Dragon.
So sequence round 2.
I believe this is going to resolve, and I know that Finley also plays the Agmonde route, which can hopefully allow you to push for a bit of an OTK, because ultimately as you do that play, you send as long as you have enough Light Fiends in the graveyard, you send your Desiree will then allow you to send that final Blue Eyes. We do still have True Light available to us to bring back a card, and I suppose you probably want to do that once, or if Desiree leaves this field, because if that happens, you need to get a Blue Eyes back to the field. I feel if you do it now, the Desiree would just negate the True Light.
You can't negate at the moment because it has to be equipped with something.
Correct.
But you got to watch out, because I have a feeling Desiree is going to be sent to the grave and it's going to activate its effect to target that True Light.
Yep.
So it doesn't really matter if you bring something back or not, because the card will end up being destroyed by the effect of True Light. So maybe you just set something from the deck, if that is you have anything to set. Let's find out. Yeah, maybe Kenny just out of stuff to set.
Yeah, quite possibly. I think there's already a wishes that is set, and you have to set something different. There's no more Raw Revisor Blue, no more Majesty.
Maybe the wishes is just without any targets, because it has to search another spell or trap that mentions Blue Eyes.
Yeah.
And if we've already used Roar. We've already used Majesty and True Light. Maybe there's just
nothing left.
Nothing left to search. Yeah. Then we're gonna get like the mega superpower Desiree with all 3 materials and like I don't know how many thousands of attack points. Oh, did the sequence get shuffled back? Maybe.
Sequence got shuffled back, I believe, to make the next step. But exactly that. It does look like we've got the Ether Barrel coming back. I feel that this gets met with a Desiree, unless there is a Drill Beam. Even then, the Drill Beam isn't going to be enough as what you need here.
But if you don't Desiree it, then there's definitely a Drill Beam.
Looks like that is resolving.
Also, do we think Kenny runs Typhon? We can answer that question, but Typhon is always a fantastic out
pretty
to
sure he
Desiree.
does.
Yeah, there it is. I think we often see players, when they activate Desiree, you have to like negate your own Agnum Day to then reduce the attack points.
Yeah. It's a good normal summon to have. Being your Sage is your additional normal summon because you have the Mausoleum of White.
Maiden of White can get that True Light back from the graveyard.
Suppose you have to be very careful though, because if you get rid of that Desiree, you know it's only going to want to target that True Light again.
Once again, yeah.
I think you are right though. Probably making a Typhon may be the best route of play. Clear off the Desiree. You're leaving Finley with 4 cards he seems to have constantly had stuck in his hand for the entire duel right now.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't just fire off the Draw and Lockbird.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, maybe you just use it as like something you can normal summon one time.
So working our way into the Blue Eyes Spirit Link Monster, being able to tribute this off to attempt to revive a Blue Eyes White Dragon. Very interesting route of play, because I feel you're just at this exact moment in time, kind of going around in circles to what seems like the same outcome. Because that Desiree, as you mentioned, is very, very powerful right now. Unless you can find a way to non-target return it, which of course Typhon will allow you to do.
You know what I've remembered?
It's not got the sequence?
No, there was the pot at the beginning of the game. I think Typhon's been banished.
Ah, you are
very,
very correct.
Yeah. This is one of those times when us commentators were like looking at the page like, why is he not doing this? Why is he not doing this? Why is he not doing this? And then
he realized, oh,
it's like actually he's smarter than us.
He may have already banished it.
But surely you'd banish it, right? If you start with Prosperity, you're going first. You don't need it. So he's looking a little confused at his extra deck as to
semi-regretful on it. I think you're right. It does look like there's only 2 Synchros and a Fusion left.
But yeah, I saw him like hovering over it, and he was like hovering over the Moonlight Rose Dragon, and thinking like, well, what is there? Why is he doing that when they're like obviously the thing, but it's just not there.
Yeah, all of these hypotheticals that can't even exist right now.
Yeah, his extra deck's actually looking very like light, isn't it?
Yeah,
like 3 or 4 cards
Ancient
left.
Life Fairy, Blue Eyes Moonlight, Red Rose Moonlight, and then the Neo Blue Eyes.
So, do we think Finley just going to hold on to this Desiree until it's threatened by something? Because he's just saying, I've just got to keep it. Okay, no, he's actually activating it now.
Yeah, I can't imagine now. Obviously, Finley doesn't know that Typhon's banished, but I can't imagine there being any other threat that could enter the field that deals with that Desiree right now.
He does have a Draw and Lockbird in his hand, right?
Yes, he's got 2 Draw and Lockbirds from what I can.
Because I mean, if you Draw and Lockbird on the summon of Sage, then your opponent can't activate the Lordly Load. It just seems. Yeah, it seems odd to hold it. Maybe he's playing around talents or something.
Yeah, this is a very... unfortunately, neither player can really concede and try and move on to the next game, because there isn't a next game. And I think we're in a bit of a stalemate here, where trying to find the out to this Desiree is probably causing a few more issues, because I don't believe there's any additional hidden effects of the Ancient Fairy Life Dragon that I'm aware of. So Synchro Summon, you draw a card if, so getting a bit more draw power.
It doesn't get Synchro Summon anyway.
No,
Oh.
yeah.